Good evening, good evening. Welcome, everybody, to our July school board meeting. If you will, let's please stand for the pledge and a moment of silence led by Mr. Spivey this evening. Well, again, good evening. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. And remember, when you approve the agenda, it'll be approving the consent agenda as well. Motion by Dr. Rouse, second by Mr. Spivey. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All right. Brings us to public comment, and Ms. King, do you have any? I don't see anybody wishing to speak under public comments, so that I'll turn it over to communications of the board and Mr. Carter.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone had a wonderful 4th. We are into July, which that always kind of starts signaling to our families that, you know, school's going to be starting back up before long. So everybody buckle down, get those last vacation days in to all our students and families and teachers. And we'll be seeing you soon with our first day of school being August the 4th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. August 4th will be our first day back for all students. So we are very proud to have a national champion here in the room tonight. One of the first students that I met when I came to Sullivan County was James Shirk, and we were at a ball game over at Sullivan East High School and talking about his running and everything, and it didn't take me long to figure out that this was a special young man. So then I met Mr. Gray, his teacher, and we saw the year go by and the competitions and championships started rolling in, and even more impressed as he was sharing what he does and how he does it in the machining. And so just recently he competed at the National Skills USA competition, and I know we sent this information out to our board, but he was crowned the champion of the, I'm gonna let him tell us 5-point axis. See, you got me already. James, would you mind coming on up, and Mr. Gray as well, coming up to the podium there, and tell us a little bit about your journey to this point. He's got actually something really neat to share with us there as well to show us. So that'd be great, yeah. But James, we'll give you the microphone there.
Is it on? Okay. Well, first off, I was going to the competition. I have been practicing and preparing myself and challenging myself because I knew it was going to be challenging once I got to the national level. Well, when I got there, I started talking to some of the people that were actually in the competition, and I realized I would have had to work a lot harder than I thought I would, because the other people actually knew just as much as I did on how my competition works and how to actually do it. And so they gave us the rundown. The first day we had a meeting, and it was about how the week was going to go. So they talked about the model, how it all is going to, what we're expected to do, how we're expected to program it. And then Wednesday comes around, and they gave me 8 hours to program what is being passed around, and I managed to get it done in 5 hours. I had a little bit of challenges along the way. My CAM software was kind of fighting me at times, but I managed to push through and get it programmed. And after I simulated it and saw that there was no crashes and everything seemed all right, I sent in my program. The next day is when we had 3 tests and an interview to do. And I get through my first test, and I'm waiting in line for my interview, and I see Mr. Gray come up, and he says, "Hey, what's your number?" Because we're starting to run some of the parts. And I tell him my number. He walks back, and he goes, "It's 1806." And I go, "Dang it, it's not mine." And then right before I go up for my interview, he comes running back saying that they're running your part. And so then after my interview, I end up finishing my test, and I go out and I actually watch them machining my part. And afterwards, they take it to a machine that actually measures it and sees how accurate my part is to what it's specified to be. And then after I held on to it, I saw that there was some things that were a little wrong with it that could have costed me points, so I started to get a little worried about it. And then Friday came around, and as the awards were coming through, mine was pushed all the way towards the end. So my stress was a little bit high, kind of worried if I was going to make it or not. And then they start saying the 2-axis lathe, and they go 3-axis mill. After they get through high school and college, then they get into the 5-axis, and as soon as the screen lit up, I saw Tennessee, and I knew I was on there. And so then I ran back, and I was excited, and I was like, well, hey, at least I'm top 3. It doesn't matter what place I get, I'm top 3. And the other 2 that were with me, the one from California and the one from Missouri, those were the other 2 that it was just going to be a dogfight for who was going to get top 3, because we all were right there with skill level. And so we got out there, and they called the kid out from Missouri, and I was like, okay, well, I'm top 2. And then all of a sudden they called the kid from California, and I was like, there's no way that I actually did it. And so then they handed me my medal, and then that was it.
What did you decide about your medal and your project?
Like, what do you mean? So after I didn't get my medal, because I had my part for a day, so it was sitting in the hotel room, and we were going to go out and celebrate, and so I went back to my hotel room. I went to go set my medal down, and I realized that my medal is the same size as the pocket that they have in the part. I was like, well, let me just try something. So I took my medal off, and I sat it in there, and it fit perfectly.
Isn't that amazing?
So what they have done is they had a generic part that would hold your medal, so if your part got ran and you placed, you get to have a medal holder.
Yeah.
So I just,
So,
One of 3 parts that actually got ranked.
yeah, one of 3. So,
One of those was a college level.
wow.
We got to California,
and then,
and I can say, I think it was 4 10,000ths of an inch separated him and California on one feature.
4 10,000ths of an inch separated the,
Separated him and California.
yeah,
So, I mean, we're looking at,
notebook
cheap
paper,
notebook paper's 3,000.
yeah.
So, you divide that by 30.
what do you measure that with?
You can use different tools like calipers and micrometers and just other precision measurement tools. But typically, if you're going to measure something with that precise, you would use something like a micrometer that can read down to the tenths of a thousandth of an inch.
Or a CMM.
Or a CMM machine, which is what they use.
When you and I were talking about there, you mentioned some advanced geometry. Can you kind of
Yes.
allude to that?
On the meeting Monday, they said, this looks very simple, and I will say it does look very simple if you just look at it. But after I started programming it and started actually getting all my tool paths and everything situated, I started realizing they squeaked in some complex geometry in here. It's like this pentagon here is not actually straight. Each face is actually angled at a different degree. So you actually had to program it to where the tool actually follows that profile perfectly.
So this is a question for you. Did you gain the understanding of the geometry through geometry class, or did the application in Mr. Gray's class help with the geometry? Is there a chicken before the egg kind of thing, or?
I mean, typically what you'll mainly use in this is what's called trigonometry, and that's typically what you learn from geometry class that you use on a day-to-day basis with this kind of stuff.
Wow, that's impressive.
go back to third grade, we still use the Cartesian
Yeah,
coordinate system.
yeah,
Okay.
that's how all this was machined, was using the Cartesian coordinate system, X, Y, and Z.
Any questions or anybody?
Yeah, I want to see the medal.
James, what happened after the competition? I asked you back there about recruiters and things, and what's kind of on your radar for this summer, this fall, and going forward?
I'm gonna continue working at a place called Bell Helicopter, because it's real close to my house. It's just a mile and a half from my house, like a 3-minute drive. They're really good there, and I really like what they do, because it's not all the same stuff. It's always different. And this has actually helped show them my capabilities at Bell, which has allowed me to progress a lot quicker.
You were telling me back there what's going to be happening with the
So there's a guy that they're training me on. It's a machine called a Pro Track. It's just a 3-axis mill. It's not 5-axis. And they've been training me on how they do stuff with it. And it's a little different machine than what I'm used to running, so I'm having to learn a new control, which is the control is what actually runs the machine. And he was just going to be here this week, and so I've learned enough that he's going to actually they're going to let me run that machine by myself starting tomorrow. So I asked him, the machine was like $150,000 or $160,000 for the machine.
wow. And this started out as a work-based learning placement, correct, at Bell?
Actually, I didn't start.
You did?
I didn't start at Bell for work-based.
Okay. All right. I thought you went in through that.
No. Colton did. Yeah, Colton did.
Right. Anyone else? Any questions? Dr. Rouse?
I'd like to make just a couple of comments. Congratulations, James.
Thank you.
This is awesome. Awesome for you, awesome for Sullivan East, awesome for Sullivan County. Mm-hmm. What I'd like to add to that, for the school board to know, is that I had the opportunity to also present James with the Patriot Award. And, you know, as you're trying to gather information, when you're going to say a few words about a student, when you're presenting them with something, I ask a few questions of other students. And this, I think, is probably what I'm even more proud of you of than even the national award. The comments were consistently, James is kind to everybody. James tries to help everybody. I've never heard James say a negative word about anybody. So, James, to me, that's even better than the national, and the national's right there at the top. So congratulations for that. Congratulations on your character. Congratulations, Mom and Dad, for such a son. We're very proud of you and everything that you are to Sullivan County.
Mr. Gray, just one real quick, just the magnitude of the national competition. About how many competitors were there total? And I know that's not all in James's particular competition, but
I think it was around 12,000 competitors.
Yeah.
Just in the CNC room, there were probably roughly 200, 250 people
and that's from all over the United States.
from the United States, high school and college.
So,
And I was at UT today in their research facility, so he will be getting a phone call from UT probably later.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very excited to meet.
Wow. All right. Thank
How
you,
long-
James.
How long has your program been going on at East?
This is the 5th year of
50.
my program.
That's great. Yes, that's fantastic.
I started the COVID year, so I
Right.
really get that.
I knew that was pretty new, but
Yeah,
So is there another gold medal winner in the line?
yes. We're trying to keep them that way. Honestly, ever since we started the program and I started taking guys to compete, we've never went to a state contest and not come back with at least one gold medal.
That's impressive.
We came back
And
with 2 golds at state, a silver, and a
And just for everybody, you all may know this, but Ms. Gray's class produces dual enrollment students. Every period you have just about dual enrollment, isn't it?
With the exception of 2 classes a year.
And so the students are getting college credit in there while they're getting their high school credits as well.
You graduated with how many hours?
It's like 36 or 39.
His associate's degree, 63 hours, when he graduated was over 35 hours.
So he's over halfway.
He's halfway.
In 2 years, I'll be dual degree with my machine tool associate's degree and my manufacturing engineering degree in just 2 years.
And I got to actually experience, this year was my first group. I watched graduate from Northeast State as these guys walked across the stage.
Yep.
So both groups coming at the same time.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Can we get a picture with him? Maybe have him stand up here and that's kind of get him. You want to come right here, you and Mr. Gray, and we'll stand behind you. There might be a photographer in the house. I don't know. Miss Magic, you want to get in there with him?
That's right. Can't get out. I want to get mom and dad away. Trying to get around the microphone.
You start thinking about our robotics program, our machining program, that's why I was asking that question about the math. Our students are getting some extremely high-quality training and applicable math skills through our programs that just, like I said, he's got people at UT that are all over wanting him down there already. So it's impressive. There's so many great things going on in Sullivan County Schools, and we're very proud. So thank you. Thank you for representing us, and thank you to your parents for letting me be involved and supporting him through this. It takes a lot. Thank you all. All right, down to our unfinished business. 6A, was talking about our paving projects. I think through our work session, the decision was that we would make a recommendation that we move forward with both the Holston and Indian Springs paving projects in hopes that the contingencies and the deducts will be available, but if not, we had set aside $250,000 out of our undesignated fund balance that would step in and pay for that if not. So I'd like to make a recommendation that we move forward with the Holston and Indian Springs paving projects.
Recommendation by Mr. Carter,
I'll make that motion that we pave both Holston and Indian Springs.
motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Robinson. Any further discussion?
And during the break, I found out there's about $66,000 in the contingency at the West Ridge. Is that right, Debbie? And which would help in case we have an issue with that.
Okay, thank you.
Ready to vote, Ms. King?
Mr. Hughes,
Yes.
Mr. Jones,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Dr. Howe,
Yes.
Mr. Spivey,
Yes.
Ms. Stanley.
Yes.
6B, the Henry Har Road property. Shared with everyone that we did have one party who had contacted us about interested in that piece of property, the house, the garage, and adjoining land or land accompanying that. And then Mr. Jones had given me a number of another party who had shown some interest. I was able to contact them during the break in between our work session And they just have replied back and said that they didn't think that they would have enough time to move into that bidding process. So I think right now we have one gentleman who is willing to make an offer of $52,000 for the house. And we were either going to be putting it for seal bids or, according to Mr. Dan Street, County Attorney's advice, we could accept that $52,000 offer for the piece of property. So, make a recommendation that we accept, George Roberts' offer of $52,000 for the Henry Hart house, land, and, garages there.
I make that motion, sir.
All right. Motion by Ms. Stanley. Second by Mr. Jones. Anything else? Ready to vote?
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. House?
Yes.
Mr. Spivey?
Yes.
Ms. Stanley?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Next, under new business, we have several policy updates, and I'd like to recommend a waiver of rules and adoption on first reading for those, A through U on all the policies. These are recommendations from TSBA, Tennessee School Board Association, for changes or additions or policy recommendations. So just like to ask for waiver of rules and adoption on first reading for those.
Can we put all of those together, or do we have to do? Okay.
We probably need to waive the rules first. Motion to waive the rules by Dr. Rouse, second by Ms. Stanley. We're ready to vote on that.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Rouse?
Yes.
Mr. Spivey?
Yes.
Ms. Stanley?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
All right, now can I get a motion to put all those policies, A through U, together?
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Stanley, second by Mr. Hughes. Any discussion on them? We went over them all during the work session. Ready?
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Rouse?
Yes.
Mr. Spivey?
Yes.
Ms. Stanley?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Letter B, during our work session, Ms. Anderson reviewed the school nutrition agreements, letters A and B. Like to recommend we approve those.
Heard the recommendation.
I make that motion.
Motion by Dr. Rouse, second by Mr. Spivey. I guess we're ready to vote.
Dr. Rouse?
Yes.
Mr. Spivey?
Yes.
Ms. Stanley?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Letter C, also during the work session, we discussed briefly the CTE Perkins Basic Plan for fiscal year 2025 and the CTE Perkins Reserve Grant for fiscal year 2025 as well. I'd like to recommend we approve those.
Recommendation by Mr. Carter, motion by Mr. Spivey, second by Mr. Robinson. Anything discussion on these? We're ready.
Mr. Spivey?
Yes.
Ms. Stanley?
Yes.
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Rouse?
Yes.
And then letter D is the summer camp revision of the budget, just to close it out for the year. Just like to ask that we go ahead and accept that as well.
And that was emailed to us, if y'all didn't see it. Recommendation by Mr. Carter.
Make a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Mr. Hughes, and second by Dr. Rouse. Ready to vote?
Mr. Hughes?
Yes.
Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Dr. Rouse?
Yes.
Mr. Spivey?
Yes.
Ms. Stanley?
Yes.
Mr. Price, that's all I have this evening. I'll turn it back over to you.
All right. Again, we don't have anybody here for public comment that I see. Nobody want to talk? Seeing none, I guess we need to set our next board meeting date, which would be August the 1st. Work session at 4:30, followed by board meeting at 6:30. Everybody good with that? August 1st, Thursday, yes. Good. Oh, it is election day. Yeah. That's election day. Do we need to move it? Paul's out of town, and
It is
let's
election.
move it.
So the 8th?
Yeah, let's do it the 8th. Can you do the 8th? You good with the 8th? All right, August the 8th, 4:30 and 6:30. The only comments I have is, the more I'm here, the more I'm impressed with what these kids are doing and what these teachers and staff are teaching them. It's unbelievable to me, some of the stuff that we see routinely. It's just awesome. Very impressive. Congratulations again to Mr. Shirk. That was, again, pretty awesome. I don't know how else to say it, but I'm impressed. Looking forward to continuing to work together and school starting back and ready to go. So, start public or the board member comments. You want to start, Mr. Hughes?
If you would like.
That'd be fine.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to review a little bit of the sewer line project question. As everybody on the board knows, and we received a letter on May the 20th from Kelly Bajoris, I think is the way you say her name, but it goes something like this. Please accept this letter as formal notice that the sanitary line installed by the school district that serves Sullivan East Middle School, as well as any future line and related pump connecting the high school, will not be accepted as a public city sewer infrastructure. This determination is due primarily to the fact that the line was installed and is not adequately sized to serve the surrounding properties, and therefore provides no public benefit beyond that to the school as a private line. All maintenance and future repairs and responsibility lie with the school district and will not be managed by the city. As stated previously and is currently in practice, the city will continue accepting wastewater flowing from the schools into our system. Again, that was about 7 weeks ago. So I started doing a little digging. I'll read you the portions of a few emails and then a document that I found over the weekend. From Randy Beckner, May the 30th, 2019 at 1:43 p.m. We have received shop drawing submittals from Thomas. Just wanted to make sure that we're all in agreement to stick with the original design capacity of the pump stations, not to upsize for additional growth. The current system will handle a middle school, a high school, a future elementary school, 2,100 students, as well as 75 houses. Additionally, with changing one pump, it will serve 200 houses. Then on June the 26th, and I've got a lot of emails, I'm not going to bore you with just but a couple. Email from Randy Beckner, sent on Wednesday, June the 26th, 2019 at 2:42 p.m. Commissioner Glover was on site yesterday and shut down work because the force main was not changed from a 4-inch to a 6-inch. I understand that a couple commissioners were wanting it to be upsized, but as we discussed, with a force main bigger isn't always better. If a force main is oversized, the sewage stays in the system longer and goes septic, creating odor, corrosion issues within the system. When we met to review the preliminary plans, Commissioner King attended. This was discussed. We were told that the construction pumps and stations and the force line was the sole purpose for serving the county schools. It should be noted that the current design and capacity to serve the middle school, high school, future elementary school, and 75 residential connections, with a future change of pump on the force main line that would carry a capacity of 200 residential connections. Today, both Commissioner King and Glover have called several times wanting the line changed to a 6-inch. We need to meet as soon as possible. Well, we did meet. It was in the meeting was me, Ingrid, Chris Davis, Randy Beckner, and the mayor, who came in late. In the meeting, Randy Beckner looked at the mayor and told him, quote, "I have told you repeatedly, we will not sign off on a line bigger than what the engineering requirements call for." So the mayor turned to me and he said, "Michael, you could be the peacemaker here. If you don't agree to put in a 6-inch line, Herschel and Dwight will take back the $584,000 approved to bid the sewer line in." Now, that's what it was going to cost back then. As we know now, it's going to be more than $1 million. And so I said, I'm not going to go against the engineer's advice, no matter what Herschel and Dwight say. And he got up and stomped down at that point. So, to make a long story short, we ended up getting the resolution passed, and we built the 4-inch line. And like I said, I have hundreds of documents. I'm not going to bore you with all of them tonight, but over the weekend, I found another document dated November the 6th, 2018, from the city of Bristol to Randy Beckner at Mattern Craig regarding Sullivan East Middle School infrastructure and design. Dear Mr. Beckner, the city has approved the infrastructure design subject to the following. The city will inspect all construction of the infrastructure. Please contact me prior to commencing construction so inspection services can be scheduled. And I'm not going to read the whole document, but it's available to anyone who wants it. And part of it was that it was approved by the state. I checked today, and it was approved by TDEC. And so it was approved by the state. So I know it's been 7 weeks that we've been trying to get a meeting, and so at this point, Mr. Chairman, I'd like for maybe you and the director to consider trying to get a meeting with the mayor and see if we can. I think there's some kind of miscommunication, some misunderstanding. I think this lady's, I think she's new in that position, and maybe she's been given some incorrect information. So that may be an option. Again, I've been digging for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I have probably 100 documents, but these are kind of the important ones. So I give everyone at your desk, you have a copy of this. So it's not a secret document or anything. It's a public document. And I just wanted to make the board aware of. I mean, I forget sometimes that some of the board was here and some came on after the project, and not everyone's up to date on how things happen, but I have a complete timeline and a detail of what happened if anybody needs to know. And if you need any information from me from your meeting, I'll be glad to provide it. Thank you very much.
Dr. Rouse.
I don't need to say anything. I think, as you said earlier, Sullivan County is doing great things. Our teachers are doing great things. And it's very obvious to anyone who wants to look and see.
Ms. Stanley.
I just want to tell the teachers and the students to enjoy their last 3 or 4 weeks of vacation this summer, and then it's back to work and back to school. So, and congratulations again to James for his big, huge accomplishments. Sullivan County's on the right track.
Yeah, I'll just reiterate, and I'd also want to congratulate Miss Madgett on that additional grant that, I mean, we highlighted it before, but perhaps we didn't highlight it enough when we voted on it, that she got the additional $50,000 grant that she applied for. It's stuff like that that leads to stuff like James, and also Mr. Gray, who, I mean, he's humble, but, I mean, he's producing state winners every year. And I agree with what Mr. Price said earlier. I probably only got one more meeting after this one, but in 8 years, I mean, I'm continually impressed. The more and more I learn, and I learn something new every day about this school system. So I think it's good when we highlight the positives. Too often, especially around election time, people focus on negatives and sometimes provide some very misleading information to the public. So I would just urge them to look at people's records and look at facts, not labels, when they're entering into this election season, whatever that label may be. Look at the person, their character, and what they've done in relation to public education. And then I think my final thing I'd say, I bit my tongue when we were voting on all those policies, but I mean, Northeast Tennessee, I always loved how free it was and has a kind of what I would say a libertarian bent. I mean, look at my hair, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. But, you know, a lot of that goes on less regulation, which I'm a fan of, and if it's going to be regulation, it's better at the local level. And all I would say is, regardless of your politics or partisan choice, it is scary how much legislation is coming out of Nashville in relation to public education that's making a very hard job for our teachers even harder. They're creating additional requirements. I mean, those policies we passed, I mean, you could hire 10 people to do those things, and we won't because we got to fight for every dollar we get in public education. But it goes back to what I keep saying, and for those that support and encourage vouchers, our school choice is by looking around and deciding, do you want to send your kids to 3 different great public education systems in Sullivan County, or do you want to pay for a private school, which is great, but tax dollars shouldn't fund that. So I'll be quiet now. I'll probably have more to say at the last meeting, but as I said, I'm always impressed. And I guess our teachers will actually start before our next meeting, August 4th, and they'll be working long before that. So I hope they enjoy these last couple weeks of break. And I know they'll come in rested and ready to do the important stuff.
I think what we saw tonight is what it's all about and why we do what we do, our students and our teachers. We saw 2 examples of just a great teacher tonight in a 5-year program that he has, and a student who was able to apply what he learned in geometry class into his CNC class. And that's why I'm so proud to be part of the school system.
I don't really ain't really much to say after all y'all talking. Congratulations to James on the national championship there. That's pretty awesome. I think I've told y'all before, I did go compete in one of those for Hubbard. I did let Hubbard down in that competition. That is it's a lot on you when you're sitting there and you're facing all these other kids and everybody's got their eyes on you. So that's an incredible achievement he's got right there. Very proud of the teacher too. I mean, he told you how many he sent down there and how many medals he's brought home. That's very impressive also. Myself, I'm a CTE guy, so I love seeing that. That's the big thing. I like that. So I'm very proud to be a part of this school system and very proud to have 2 daughters in our school system. So enjoy your little break you got left, teachers, and hopefully our students come in August the 4th just as energetic as you all.
I said it wrong. It's Miss King correct. shouldn't take a day away from the teachers. I said it wrong too, but Ms. King corrected, August 5th.
So we're not looking at sending our school kids back earlier?
And I'm,
I have too, okay? Okay.
and I'm not gonna let Mr. Spivey take credit for that one either. I'm the one who said the 4th first, so it is the 5th of August, first day back.
I will be telling mine.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn? So moved.